So there are plenty of things that stand in our way of creating art, creating music, and we want to try and remove as many of them as possible. Templates are key to that. So in this video, we're going to talk about the template that I use, how I have it set up, why I have it set up that way in order to try and be able to produce music in a more efficient way so I don't have things getting in the way of my inspiration when it comes, and so that I can work through things in order to find some inspiration through the setup that I have and the workflow that I use. My production setup is a hybrid setup, so I use hardware gear as well as a DAW, as well as Ableton Live. And I'm going to show you in Ableton Live how I have all of that routed so that I can just turn it on, open up a new project, and I have everything ready to go in a way that suits my style, and it allows me to work as efficiently as possible. Hopefully this will give you some ideas about how you can set up a template for yourself and how to set that template up so that you can streamline your workflow, your production workflow, in order to create more music and finish more music and better quality music. So now let's get into it. Okay, so here we have what pops up as the new live set. So this is the template that I have, and this is a template that's set up for the way I like to work and for the way my studio is set up. So basically what I have here, just to go quickly down the line, I've got a couple of the favorite kicks that I use, which are kicks that I've made and then resampled. A couple of different ones within there that can be selected from. Then I have the next track is a 909 kit. I like to use 909 sounds a lot, so this is a way to just have this set up as a kit. If you open up this group, it's basically every piece of the kit that's in there. And if I activate this, so you see if I activate this, it becomes controllable from the keyboard, also from the pads. And that's the way I have each one of these MIDI tracks set up. I'm going to skip this one for a sec and then go to the next one, which is closed hi-hats. Then we have open hi-hats, claps and snares, and percussion. And the reason why I have those broken out is because I like to be able to audition sounds quickly. So if you look here, I have basically a drum rack set up for each one of these, and it has a whole bunch of different samples set up that I like, some different one hits. So if I activate this, so I can try out different sounds. And if I like, for example, something within that sound or within that group, it's just drawing some things here. And if I have a pattern that I like, I can then take that pattern and drag it. So as you can see, it goes through all of the different sounds. And so that way you can quickly audition sounds. If you like a particular pattern, if you like something that you've set up and that you've recorded, but you're not quite sure of the sound, get it in there first, get the idea in there first, get the pattern in there, get the rhythm in there that you like, and then you can always click and drag when you've got a system set up like this. So you know you've got a whole bunch of your favorite, closed hi-hat sounds or open hi-hat sounds. You'll be able to audition different sounds that way, but using the pattern that you've created and that you like. So we've got the same setup with closed hi-hats, open hi-hats, claps and snares, and percussion. Just some of my favorite one-shots. If you look over here into the drum rack, this has pages and pages and pages of one-shots. And you can put those in there any way you like. You can organize them any way you like. I have the ones that I like organized the way that I like to have them. And so that way it's very quick and easy for me to find. And that's the biggest thing with having a template, is you want to have things really quick and really easy to find, so nothing gets in the way of the creative process. So if you get an idea and you say, I need a percussion sound, I don't want to have to go through folders and files and everything of percussion sounds. I want to be able to just activate this. and go, yep, that's the one I want right there. And it just makes it much, much faster to be able to audition sounds and get things down as quickly as possible. The next section we have here, well, actually, before we leave the drums, the last thing in the drum section that I skipped over, this track right here is set up to my Electron Analog Rhythm, which is over on my live set desk. And I set that up through Overbridge, and I've got it set up so that if you open this, you can see that each one of the tracks has its own track within here. So if I take this is just a random pattern that I have in here, but you can hear that there are, each one of the tracks from the Analog Rhythm is set up to have its own track in here. And you can do things like add effects by individual track. And it's just a great way to, if you do make something in the hardware setup and you want to get it into here quickly, one of the great things about Overbridge is that you can track in individual tracks over USB. So you don't have to have the sound coming in to your sound card. You can just have it come in through USB, and then you can route it here in Ableton. If you notice, we've got audio coming from the rhythm Midi channel, which is right here. And then once you do that, you can choose which channel you want. So you can have Midi, you can have channel 1, 3, 4, whatever. You can have any channel that you'd like coming in to individual channels over here. Next, we get into the synth section. So I like to keep all my drums first, and then I have my synths next. My two favorite soft synths that I use more than any other are Pigments and Diva. So I have them set up on their own channel. I have them set up with a default preset that I like. Pigments tends to be more for pads and polyphonic things. And so I have that set up with a patch that's easy. And it's set up to get MIDI from the keylab, which is right here on the desk all the time. It's set up to get that MIDI signal in general on all channels. So if I activate it, it comes to that channel, okay? If it's inactive, it doesn't do anything. If I activate one of my percussion channels, they're set up to get the exact same thing. So then I get those coming in that way. Same with Diva. If I activate this, I have Diva set up to be kind of an electric piano sound, just because I like that as a general basic sound if I want to knock out a melody. It allows me to do that with kind of a clean sound that comes in over the top of anything else that I'm using. So it's a good way, again, to get down a melody, just to get the idea down and then worry about the sound afterwards, the sound design afterwards, because sometimes you want to just get an idea down quickly. So that's what this is set up to do. The next channel here is a MIDI channel coming in from the Matrix Brute, which is over here on the side. Set up so that we've got a MIDI channel and an audio channel both within that group, so that if I want to capture the MIDI from that instrument, I can do that. If I want to capture the audio from that instrument, I can do that. But I just collapse those down and have it be just a sound that I can hear. So if I just want to mess with something, I can just mess with it on there. Next channel is for the Prologue, which is over here on this side. Again, polyphonic synth, so I have it set up with a patch. Just kind of a basic patch that is something that can help me, lay down a pad or something like that. But it's very easy to switch if I want to just change. So I can get things down quickly from this as well. This one is not set up with MIDI because I generally don't use the MIDI signal from this. I generally just would play something here right straight into the audio channel and record it. So I just have this set up as an audio in from this instrument. So it's not MIDI sync to tempo or anything like that where the other ones are. Next channel I have set up is for another instrument, which is the SH1, which is over here on the side, or SH01A. Same way as the matrix extrude setup. So there's a MIDI channel, there's an audio channel, and then the audio channel sends to this main so that I can add effects if I want to. So if we get something going, then I can add So again, set up to get ideas in quickly and be able to track things in. So I can record into an audio channel. I can record MIDI notes in any of those things directly from this. The next one I have set up here is the Moog Minotaur, which you probably can't see because it's kind of over here underneath a little bit. But that is set up exactly the same way. So it's got MIDI and it's got audio, and then it sums to the main channel. With this one, the MIDI channel I have set up so that I can send from a sequencer if I want to, which is more like. Or if I don't want to sequence something in and I would rather play something in, I have this set up on MIDI channel 15. So on the Keylab, I can just switch quickly to MIDI channel 15. And then on MIDI channel 15, I've got, so I can play that from here as well. MIDI channels on this are really super easy to switch from one to the other. You just push the MIDI channel button and then the first 16 keys are the 16 MIDI channels. So this is set up on channel 15. So I just hit this and hit 15. And if I want to take it off, I go to 1 because I don't have anything on 1 right now. And then it's not sending out anything except for to those channels that are set to receive on all channels. And then they would still receive on that. So if I activate one, it's still receiving because it's set to receive on all channels. Where if nothing's activated, but I activate a particular MIDI channel. So I have the Minotaur set up to do that. And then I also have the SH01A set up to do the same thing. That one's on channel 12. So if I just switch to 12. So it's set up to do exactly the same thing so that I can play something here, but I can mess with the synth over here. Or if I want to get something to hold, I can press hold and then I can turn and start working on it. So as you can see, it's set up to get information in whatever way is quickly inspiring. So if that means playing it on this little keyboard down here, I do that. If I want something on a more full-size keyboard, I can do that. Because the SH01A is polyphonic or paraphonic, I can set it into that mode and I can play chords here on a full-size keyboard rather than playing on the small keyboard. Or if I just want to plug something into the sequencer, I can do that as well. So it's just set up with a lot of flexibility. So that one's set up to work the same way. The Matrix Extrude is set up to work the same way. And the Minotaur, as you can see, it's set up to work either with a sequencer or with the keyboard, just depending on if I quickly switch it to that channel, and I can use that with this keyboard here. The next channel we have here is set up from, I call it the Workbench channel, and it's actually the master out from my live setup, which is over there on the side. So when I'm recording a live jam or something like that, I can just open this up, activate that channel, hit record, and start playing over there. And anything that I play over there records audio directly into this audio channel. Same thing if I'm writing something and I want to quickly get it down, or if I create a loop on one of the machines over there that I'd like to put into Ableton Live to be able to process or to be able to do something with that I can't do on the live machines, I can just quickly record into that because it's the master out coming from the Workbench. And that master out right now is set up with the live set, all of the channels sum through the Octatrack, and then the main out from the Octatrack is what comes into the audio interface, and that goes into this Workbench channel here. So that's the routing for all of that stuff. The final one that I have on here is something that I learned from the All You Need Is Live channel. Great stuff that Paul does over there. And that's the idea of having a mix down channel. I know this isn't necessary, but it's actually a really handy workflow, I find. And what I do is, if you notice in here, all of these audios are routed to mix down, which is this channel right here. And then this mix down channel is routed to the master. And it's kind of like a pre-master bus. It's like having a mix bus in your project. So what I generally do is on this mix down channel, I have an EQ8, I have the All You Need Is Live riser thing. So again, thanks Paul. I'll link to his channel down below because this stuff is awesome. I use it all the time. I have a utility on this channel just in case I need to adjust the gain or bass mono or anything like that. And then another EQ8 for actually EQing. This first one is really just a low cut, which is part of this chain here. What this allows me to do is when I'm mixing a whole track, if I want to have a section where I low cut the entire track, this allows me to do that, to basically cut out the bass or cut out the kick in a section just to do kind of a false pause or just to do kind of a false break. And that allows me to add that in really quickly and easily through automation just by switching on and off that EQ8 that's in there. Something that I like to do often as well when I am mixing is I like to put the bass in mono, and having the utility here, it's a really quick way to do that and adjust wherever you want that cutoff to be. So you can get your bass frequencies in mono really quickly just by using one simple plugin. Final channel over here is the master channel, and I keep two things on the master channel. One, I have a limiter, and that is just a protection limiter with all of this hardware running through here at all different levels. I don't want to accidentally spike something and cause some damage to the system, to the speakers or anything like that. So I just have a limiter on the main, so it catches anything that might get through as kind of a protection. And then I have a utility on here as well. Utility is probably the plugin that I use more than any other plugin in Ableton Live. Put it on every channel, as you can see, because it's a great way to adjust volume through gain, so you can automate gain rather than having to move volume sliders, because then if you adjust the volume, that takes away your automation. I did a whole other video about that I can link to as well. I'll link to that up above here. The reason why the utility is really on the main though is I have the this mono button here on the utility is routed to a keyboard shortcut on my keyboard. So if you notice, anytime I hit M, it turns on the mono, and I use that often. I don't have to be on this channel, so I can be on any other channel. So let's say I'm over here and I hit M, we go back to the master, it's in mono now. And what that allows me to do is I just have a quick keyboard shortcut so that I can constantly mono the mix anytime while I'm producing, just to make sure that I don't get so far down a rabbit hole and create a problem where with phase cancellation or anything like that. And then I have to go back and find it and find where it was. So I just have this habit in my my production workflow to constantly hit this M button and just go back and forth between mono and stereo, just to make sure that the mix sounds good in mono all the time, and so that I don't have to go back and try and fix that in the mixing stage. I know people say that you shouldn't mix while you're producing, and I agree in general, but one thing that I like to do, again, because I have it set up in a way that's really easy, it's set up really easy to just do it with a keyboard shortcut. Having things like that that you can do really fast doesn't interrupt your production process, and it's a way to make sure that you catch mistakes before you get too far along and too far down the road in your production. And then you have to go back and dig through everything you did to figure out where that is if you can't immediately hear it. This way you catch things as you go along, with things that are important like phase cancellation in mono and just really quick stuff like that. Speaking just a little bit about plugins in a template. So we talked a bunch about routing and what is on each thing from a MIDI perspective and from getting notes in and recording in audio and things like that. But something else that's really important is what plugins to have on each channel. I basically have a utility and an EQ8 on every channel. So if you look along here, there's always a utility and an EQ8. The utility so that I can automate gain if I want to through the process, and the EQ8 because I find that it's a plugin that I use on every channel every time. I always used to low cut below 30 hertz, so I just do that automatically, and that's on every channel. And then any other EQing that I want to do, it's already there, and it just saves me a couple clicks of putting an EQ8 on each channel as I load up that channel. All right, the final piece of this is how to save this to make this be your default that opens up anytime you open a new project in Ableton Live. So the way you do that is you go to Live Preferences, and then when you get this menu, you go down to your File folder section, and the first option here on the top is Save Current Set as Default. If you click Save there, overwrite the default set, okay. And now the set that we just did, whatever changes you made to your template set is now going to be the default. Anytime you open up Ableton Live, that's going to be the default set. So let's say you're working on something and you want to start something new. You just go to New Live Set. And as you can see, it opens up with the default template that we just made. So that's my 2021 production template. I hope it gave you some ideas for how you can create yours. If you have any questions about it, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. And just keep in mind, this is my workflow. This is what works for me. It doesn't work for everybody. It's not the only way to do it. There's a million different ways to do it. It's one of the great things about music is that there are no rules. You can kind of do things the way you like to do them and find your own solutions. Hopefully my trial and error over the years and the things that I've learned how to do can help you avoid some of that same trial and error and maybe get some good ideas and some good inspiration for your own workflow. Thanks again for stopping by, and I hope to see you in the next video. Keep being creative. Stay safe. Peace.